Make sure I share it on the Discord. So this was this morning's London session long right here. Caught it on the Discord, looking for this bearish fair value gap to be inverted after we cleared all these lows. Entry on the inversion fair value gap, targeting those two relative equal highs. Played out just perfectly for a 2-to-1 risk to reward. Afterwards, we just, chopped ahead of the CPI news event. Surprise, surprise. Let me head into the Discord live chat, see if we have any questions. I'm not in a rush or in a hurry to take a trade. That's why I traded the London session this morning. I prefer that, and then usually I tend to come back on CPI, on a CPI day for the PM session. So let AM do its thing and come back later for the PM session. We have our fair value gap. Playing with the thought of taking a short like this. If we close below the bullish fair value gap. See some sort of downside manipulation first. And then enter on a continuation move with an inversion fair value gap back to the upside. That would be kind of cool. Right now we're still holding support on the bullish fair value gap, so no reason to be bearish. We're just going to be patient. If we see an opportunity that looks attractive, then we're going to take it, of course. Otherwise, yeah, well, we're just going to observe and take notes. We respected it. So far, so good. The ES swept the CPI news high. See if we can reach 65k here on the daily. Pushing up higher and higher on Bitcoin would be nice. And in the meantime, we're gonna be observing ES and NQ. Potential SMT divergence here. 15 seconds to go on the 5-minute time frame. But first we need to see the close below this bullish fair value gap. Didn't get the close just yet. You can see that overall we're still holding inside this area, so we really be waiting for this, well, close to happen. Not really interested in looking for longs of this bullish fair value gap. So, like I said, Just gonna be waiting. Two and a half minutes. Until we get the next 5-minute candle close. Is anyone in a trade right now? Out of curiosity. Anyone already short? Maybe long? Short gold, okay. Looks like we're gonna get the close below. But I would be more interested in shorting ES actually here. Because ES is the one that cleared buy side liquidity. Gonna be putting our stop loss at the high. And a pending limit right here. If we even get back into that area again, we'll see. NQ already back at the VWAP. Yes, it's expanding lower to the VWAP. I don't think that we're gonna get the inversion fair value gap retest. Neither will we on NQ, but at the same time, I'm not entering with the market right at the VWAP. Just doesn't make sense to me. When did you enter RM? Okay, interesting. What's the time? It's 9:50, all right. Oh, sorry guys. So let's see, we might be leaving behind a bearish value gap here. Hmm. There's not really much to talk about unless you guys ask me questions. We're just going to be observing here. Sometimes that's what trading is really all about. Being calm and collected, waiting for an opportunity to arise, and then executing on that opportunity. Regarding this bearish fair value gap, do I think it's a good opportunity to short from? I think it could be. If we are going to continue lower. But I am not going to take the chance, I believe. Because I'm slightly bullish biased, to be honest. We also have the 10 a.m. hourly opening coming up in 4 minutes. So I'm going to be waiting for the silver bullet hour to actually, well, start before I take a trade. Let's see if we have any news at 10. No, there's no more news. What I would be definitely taking is if we were to close back above this bearish, come back to retest it and take out the CPI high. Then I would have my New York Open, fake out, move to the downside. Invalidation of that, or confirmation that it's actually a fake out move, and then the reversal into buy side liquidity. Same for ES, of course. Little paper execution can't. One more minute to go until 10 a.m. opens up. Keep in mind, below this low is an hourly bullish fair value gap. So we could actually see one more push lower, holding support on the hourly and then pushing up higher. Like I said, I want to see the new hourly opening first before I take any trades during the CPI New York AM session. Gonna be patient today, not rushing into things. Right, 10 a.m. opened up. We tested the 5-minute bearish fair value gap here on ES. Those are just paper trades, so don't worry. Looks like we made a good decision here, being more patient. 10 a.m. is already pushing. We still, well, this is our inversion fair value gap. Like I said, this would be my textbook setup. Let's see if we get the opportunity. 3 more minutes to go. Perfectly filled in the bearish value gap here on ES. That's interesting. One and a half minutes to go. Right now, we're looking really good. I would definitely take this trade. I wouldn't hesitate for a second. Final minute. Lucky this is just a paper trade. No stopped out on both. Let's close it. Alright, get ready to hit buy button. Stop loss right here. Gonna hit the first entry with a market order if we close like this. And then I place another entry at the inversion fair value gap. Alright, so that's the first entry. And now risk stays the same. But we're gonna use a pending limit on our inversion fair value gap and risk another 125. Came back to retest the inversion fair value gap here on ES. It's that same setup. I just prefer NQ because NQ didn't clear the CPI high yet. 2-to-1 risk to reward. Let's see if we get our inversion fair value gap entry or if that's simply gonna be a quick reversal. Then I would use the fake out manipulation move right here for potential standard deviation targets. Very calm stream, very calm and collected today. That's nice. Come on, load up. It's delivering nicely here. Like we said, inversion fair value gap, bounce off the VWAP. Exactly what we've been asking for. I entered with a market order already here. Just in case we don't make it back to the inversion fair value gap we created right here. Because we closed, yeah, well, significantly above it. Now we have a pretty big bullish fair value gap, nicely overlapping with the inversion fair value gap. Let's see if we get that filled. Same thing likely on ES, yep, right here. Time for some music. Like always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. For any sort of discussion, feel free. Let's see if we already hit negative 0.5 standard deviations. Yes, we already hit negative 0.5, and that's where we started to halt. Should have held you long. Should have, would have, could have, like always. What's the time actually? It's 54. AM session is almost over. That went quick. Well, we hit our 2 risk to reward. I'm going to take another pouch and just let it run. I'm not going to be here for the entire time. Stop loss is at break even. Take profit. Target is right up here. First, for some spare change. But it's not about, well, essentially it is about how much money each trader is making. That's the issue I have right now. My plan essentially was to wait for the fake out right here. Then wait for the inversion fair value gap confirmation. We received that right at 10 a.m. And that's when I entered my first 0.25% well risk trade. Looking forward to the other 0.25% once we test the inversion fair value gap. But unfortunately that never happened. I shouldn't have been so, well, superstitious and should have just taken the entry on the bullish fair value gap, adding the other 0.25% for a total risk of 0.5%. That's always what I do. My stop loss was from the beginning right at this candle's low. So from here, essentially we had a 1-to-1, and of this bullish fair value gap, would already be looking at a 1.5, and the 2-to-1 risk reward target, well, would be hit right up here. Definitely going down into the channel. And hang on. Indicate the multiples. Yeah, sure. So I'm just using a basic Fibonacci retracement tool right here. You can, yeah, well, just pull one up with Command F. No, that doesn't work. Control F, doesn't matter. Anyway, I just use the Fibonacci retracement tool, measure from the low to the high, what I consider manipulation, and then I look for standard deviations based on that manipulation move to the upside. And I'm simply using the setting 0 and 1 for the manipulation mid leg, and then you got to use negatives, -1, -0.5, -3, -4. You can even split it up more, but well, that's how these standard deviations are being created. A good example for that would be right here on NASDAQ on the 1 hour time frame. Now we can even go to the 4 hour. Because that's essentially what I'm looking forward right here. We have our potential, well, low, retracement low, and this is our final manipulation leg. Lower low, lower high, lower low, higher high. That's where the market structure shift happened, so I'm considering this my final manipulation move, measuring it from the low to the high. Once again, using standard deviations to the upside. Here it's more organized because it's my trading view. We hit 0.5 standard deviations, we trace, hit the first standard deviation or around the first standard deviation, retrace, come back to retest the breaker block, order blocks and all that stuff. And yeah, usually we tend to end those moves right around 3.5 to 4 standard deviations. For example, here on the S, we could have used our final manipulation to the upside. So essentially this move right here to look for downside targets and wonder what? Right around that 4 standard deviation, retracement is done. And now we're looking for exactly the opposite. Well, on ES it's actually not that simple. But on NQ it actually is a lot more simple. Because we have a clear lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low right here. So that's how I'm using the standard deviations. Those are the settings. 0, 1 for the initial range, and then I put it over here to the right. Negative 0.5, negative 1, negative 2, negative 2.5 in increments. So if we, for example, were to do this with Bitcoin, of our potential final manipulation, maybe we have one at the very bottom. Yeah, tricky. And it's Bitcoin. Let's just do that on ES. We keep on pushing higher, so nice. That's very pleasant. Not sure. 580, 700. Could be seeing a potential new all-time high today on ES. We're only 25 points away. Of course, that's the settings.
But can also leave some on if you want to. That's with my regular optimum trade entry.
Let's see if we have any questions on the YouTube live stream. New hourly candle opening. Yep, sound is working now. I'm going to do that later. And in those scenarios, so right here, you see that manipulation, just to finish off this topic. We looked at it on a 4-hour time frame, but essentially where we anchored the final manipulation move from, we are looking forward to this move being the potential retracement low of this second quarter of 2024. And that's why it makes sense to actually look for 3.5 to 4 standard deviations to the upside. Right here, this is just a intraday post CPI news right in the middle of our daily candle, a manipulation move. That's why I'm personally not looking for 4 standard deviations. Not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it's has a lower probability to reach 4 standard deviations. I mean, that essentially would put us at a new all-time high. Of course, it's possible, but I don't think it's possible today on NQ unless we have a power pump PM session. I mean, we're not really far away from the all-time high, like I said, 25 points. Totally doable during a PM session. Contract adjustment changes, nothing here on ES. And like I said, right here on ES, for example, at the high, we form a high, higher low, a higher high, using that last final swing after the market structure shift as my manipulation move to look for potential targets to the downside. 2.5, we consolidated around 2.5, hit 3, consolidated, and finally sort of and hit this one right here. So this is a perfect example of it playing out to the tick. And if we go back to NQ, NQ, essentially that's what I'm looking forward to. But it's a different thing here. I'm looking at it on the 4-hour time frame. Like I said, this happened, this final manipulation happened. If we go to the daily time frame, daily time frame, after we swept sell side in discount below the 50% level of our entire first quarter range right here, put a low in place, we cleared that low, and from here on we continued higher with a new break-in structure on the daily time frame, then bringing it back to the 4-hour time frame, looking for that final manipulation move, after which we turned around and started this buy model essentially. That's just why it's different to what I drew up here. Right here, I'm just looking for a simple continuation and trying to determine potential target areas for the long if this turns out to be our final manipulation move. Nothing more, nothing less. If this would have happened at the low of the day, this would be a different story. Yes, then we could be looking for potential for standard deviations. But right here, if I'm looking for the continuation move after an already pretty big expansion to the upside post CPI news event, I'm not looking for, I took partials at the CPI news high because it's a safe thing to do around the 0.5 standard deviation, and the final profit target is going to happen at the -1 standard deviation. That's how I handle it. For example, yesterday, could have also used that. We had the PPI news report coming in here and measuring standard deviations from the low to the high. Beautifully hit one standard deviation right here, almost to the tick here. See that? And the day is over. It's intraday and it's on the 5-minute time frame. We hit 0.5 standard deviations and we rejected here twice before actually moving back up to the first standard deviation, if that makes sense. We can well do this more often. Like, for example, here we creep up higher the entire time. We look for our final manipulation from our high to our low, hit 0.5 and the first standard deviation immediately, and then it just consolidated until we hit 4 standard deviations, almost to the tick right here. That's -4 standard deviations of this manipulation on the PPI news candle. What would be another decent example? Maybe here. This final manipulation where we cleared buy side liquidity measured from the high to the low, 4 standard deviations. Once again, almost perfect profit target. Took a couple of days for us to reach it, or maybe 2, where we just went sideways, but eventually we hit the 4 standard deviation target. That's nothing new. That's like not reinventing the wheel. It's just, I don't know. way to measure your targets. That's especially handy if we go back into all-time high territory. If you remember during the first quarter of 2024, well, just from the feedback that I got here from the trading community on my Discord server and my own experience, it's for most of the traders out there, new territory, uncharted territory, if we have no buy side liquidity to the left that we can potentially target. It's much easier trading within the existing range than trading during price discovery mode when we are making new all-time highs every day. And that's where those standard deviation targets come in very handy because it, well, kind of makes it a lot simpler. Set your targets. So yeah, if there are any questions about it, feel free to ask. That's what I'm here for. Otherwise, this is going to be the end of today's stream. We keep on pushing higher, like I said. Wouldn't be looking for much more than one standard deviation here. Put some nice profit on the account so far this weekend today. 354, almost 1% in profit. What 5,320? My target is 5,320. Well, we outlined the targets earlier already. The next buy side target would be 18,612 based on a daily time frame and this daily high right here. And if NQ is reaching that, keep in mind that on the 1st of April, ES actually formed the all-time high. That's where this SMT divergence comes in play. That's why I believe it's possible to see a new all-time high on the S&P 500 futures index. Make it simple. See, that's a high on the 1st of April, and if we go back to NQ, it's the same high, but a lower high. That's the SMT divergence, which validated this entire market structure thing up here. So if NQ makes it to 18,613, I think it's not too far-fetched to look for 5,333 all-time high as profit target.
I'm talking about ES, not NQ.
No, okay, talking about ES, yeah, but well, the only buy side liquidity we have left on the daily would be right here. We already cleared that. Yeah, and right now we're only around 20 points away from the all-time high. Totally possible. And if we go to the 5-minute time frame and measure our New York Open manipulation move right here, and now look at the 533 level, our all-time high. Don't think we go straight up. Maybe there will be one more manipulation before we take it higher, but totally possible. Totally possible. EU actually filled in the entire fair value gap and then turn around. Not bad. Let's take a look at gold. Same thing here essentially. Swept sell side liquidity one more time. Inversion fair value gap. Continued rallying to the upside. Oil. I don't trade on looking at it. And the DXY is heading lower again as well. Confirm -1 at 5,320. Yeah, right at 5,320. Well, who would have thought that at the beginning of this month that we are, well, in less than 3 weeks going to see new all-time highs on the S&P 500. Who would have thought that? Down here, 19th of April, 1st of May. Been quite the run this month. Bongo did. But Bongo didn't make a super swing trade position. Bongo is poor, no account to swing. Oh, Bongo. Where we at? Almost at the first standard deviation. He told me go to 2,400. Possible. Let's see. No questions here on YouTube, so I'm just gonna close it already. Bitcoin is moving. I would have kept that position open, Bongo. I know I wasn't in that position from where you entered, I think earlier this morning. But a pretty good long here on Bitcoin. Now you switched over to oil. 6,488. 65k all right here is high at 65.5 here really. It's going to be the next target, and then we want to see if Bitcoin can close above right here. If it manages to do that, I think we can push into 67k. Then we can revisit 2021 all-time high territory. But overall, I think we've spent enough time forming some sort of a bottom here, local bottom. Take it high. Also based on indicators. RSI cooled down. Same like it did right here. We had our SMT divergence, our stop hunt, our inversion fair value gap, bullish fair value gap setup. RSI basically exactly at the same level, right around 37. Same thing happened right here. Cooled off. Stop hunt. Bullish fair value gap paired with a inversion fair value gap. Possible continuation higher. Same for the MACD. Letting this one run. You need more margin or more accounts. Are you doing the Leap Trading View challenge? No, I'm not. Don't have time for that. Well, with funding pips, you already have the margin. The max amount of margin you can possibly get for funded accounts, at least 10% drawdown, much better than, well, what's it usually 5% trailing drawdown with Apex and the other futures funding firms. Then you just get more accounts ideally, even if it means you get smaller accounts. You have to grind your way to the to the big accounts. You start out with, well, what's the smallest account size, even if it's just a 10k account, just a 10k account. You can be more, well, more risky with those challenges because it doesn't hurt so much. Exactly. You start with the small challenges, get your payouts, and then work your way up, because then, well, the money that you invest in those accounts, if you lose it, at least it doesn't hurt as much. 151, 256, well, not bad. Like I said, Agent Smith, your issue is making profit. You post these tremendously green realized P&L charts here essentially every single day. The issue is cashing out that profit. But you also post red, but it's pretty rare. Once a month. The issue is not making profit. It's essentially realizing that profit in terms of only yeah, that's a tough one. Bitter pill to swallow. No, like I said, the issue is actually getting paid out. And I think it's also part of the reason, because those futures funding firms, they don't make it very easy on you to actually get your profits paid out. Of course, it's their business model. And essentially, it's just your fault, not the prop firm's fault, that you, well, don't reach the payout threshold. Everyone's interested in how Agent takes his trades. Yeah, maybe we, once Agent Smith actually gets his payout and actually getting paid, then we can maybe let him up on the stage here. But before that, nah. A little bit of motivation for him, no pressure. And we reach 65. Not recommended for consistency. Interesting. All right, guys. Like I said, that's going to be the end for today's stream. Unless there are any more questions. GME 33. Okay. Hey, Kieran. A little bit late to the party. Already killed it. Three to 5 micros, see how it goes. Then go in with 1 mini if you like the price action. Very clean setup today, like I said, in the end of the day. My own fault for being too, well, I guess a little bit too much of a perfectionist. Looking for the entry right here on the inversion fair value gap for the best possible entry opportunity, which unfortunately never got hit. I played with the thought of entering right here, but then we already rejected by the time. So, well, I guess a little bit too slow to pull the trigger. But at least we got in with one position. We're up for the day. For the CPI news day, wasn't a, well, specifically hard trading day. We had two very nice setups. The first one right here this morning with NQ inversion fair value gap right here. where we caught during the London session, where we entered right here on the inversion, targeting those two relative equal highs prior to the CPI news event. I always make sure that I'm out before 6 a.m. New York local time. Because then price usually starts to chop around and doesn't do anything until the news release, like it did today. And then I wait for the New York Open to ideally show its hand and convince me that one side is being manipulated. In that case, shorts are being manipulated. Confirmation came once we closed above this bearish value gap on the 10 a.m. candle. We didn't take the short, we only took it on paper. And then acted once we got the confirmation. Unfortunately not here, but I guess it is what it is. Then we kept on tapering this price action once we closed above this opening right here and took out this short-term high here. Actually, before we took out the CPI high, we came back to retest down closing candle right here, and this bullish fair value gap held support nicely right here on this high, closed above the CPI news high, also very nice, and then, well, continued higher, hit 0.5 standard deviations. Now it's 10.25, might be just gonna take this home. Doesn't matter if it's $30 or $40 right up here. Yeah, not really interested in anything else for today. If you're still in long, maybe watch and see if we see some sort of reaction on this down closing candle. If we keep bullish order flow alive, that's what we would expect or anticipate. With our all-time high right here at 5333.5, but this might be something for the PM session starting at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. If I see something interesting and if I'm around for the PM session, I will make sure to share it with all the members inside the Discord or on the Discord server inside the trade ideas section. But like I said, we're already good for the day. Caught two nice setups. Not sure if I'm going to be around for the PM session. Also got to live a little. Nice. All right, guys. Unless there are any more questions, like I said, feel free to ask them now. I will check out the YouTube live stream, see if we have any questions over there. Otherwise, that's gonna be it. All right, no questions on YouTube. Been going higher for the past hour and a half actually. Also for the first 30 minutes of this new hourly candle. Keep in mind, price likes to hunt stops or reverse at the 30-minute mark, which is coming up in the next 2.5 minutes. The overall target based on the futures chart here on the S maybe would be new all-time high today. We'll see. And on NQ, we're essentially looking for the daily high from the 1st of April, right at 18,612. All right, guys, I see no more questions. So thanks very much for joining in and watching today's live stream. I hope you found it helpful. Otherwise, you, like always, can ask questions if I'm not very clear with something. Other than that, I wish you a beautiful rest of your Wednesday. Yeah, it's Wednesday. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Take care, and until tomorrow during the London session. Bye.